Hi, I'm Jerry James Stone and welcome to another What the Fork. Today we're going to talk about radishes and are they actually spicy? Let's get to it. Okay, so are radishes spicy? Well, the answer is yes, but also no. Here's the reason why. So radishes are spicy. They have a bite to them, but they're just not spicy in the way that we typically classify spicy, like chili peppers. Chili peppers have a compound in them that actually makes them spicy. That's capsaicin. So we have capsaicin, which we actually classify as the compound for spiciness. That said, even though radishes don't have that compound in them, they actually do have a bite to them. But why? So before I get into that, let's talk a little bit about what radishes actually do have in them. They're high in potassium, vitamin C, they have a lot of folic acid and also fiber. So there's a lot of good things going on in there. There's just none of that capsaicin that makes them actually spicy. So radishes are spicy when you bite into them, but they're not spicy when you don't bite into them. I know that sounds like a lot of double talk, but just stay with me for a second. I promise you, I'm gonna explain. So as I mentioned, radishes don't have capsaicin. So that's that compound that makes chili peppers like jalapenos, habaneros, that makes them spicy. It's actually the same active compound that they use in pepper spray. So for example, when you're cutting into jalapenos, you're kind of slowly almost pepper spraying yourself a little bit. If you've ever had your eyes water or you choke up a little bit from when you're prepping chili peppers, the reason for that is as you're prepping them, that capsaicin, like that compound, gets into the air, it's just around you, so you kind of get exposure to that. You don't get that with a radish, right? Like when you're actually prepping radishes, that spiciness that exists within them doesn't sort of have the same effect as when prepping chili peppers. And that's what I mean. So radishes are spicy when you bite into them, but they're not spicy when you're not biting into them. And the reason for that is there's not that compound that's sort of filling the air and causing you to react. But what is actually happening when you bite into them? Well, that's a great question. So why are radishes actually spicy when you do bite into them? Well, the first thing is trapped within the radish is myrosinase. So myrosinase is this enzyme that's sort of trapped and encased within the radish cells. It's isolated, just kind of hanging out doing its thing. When you bite into it, because it's an enzyme, it does what enzymes do. Enzymes speed up the process of breaking down chemicals and compounds. That's what their whole gist is. When you bite into the radish, the myrosinase starts spilling out. And as a result, that enzyme comes into contact with other compounds within the radish, specifically the glucosinolates. That compound is sulfur-based, and the enzyme starts breaking that down, forming a third compound. So when that enzyme comes into contact with the sulfur-based compound, it creates this third one, the allyl isothiocyanate. That final compound is what's actually causing you to have that reaction to biting into radishes. It's sulfur-based, right? So it's created from that sulfur-based compound, and that particular byproduct is what goes up in your airways, causes your eyes to tear, causes your nose to tingle, because that same compound is actually what's found in other compounds that are much, much worse. So it's similar at that same compound, even though it doesn't exist organically in a radish until those two interact. It's found in mustard, it's found in horseradish, and it's found in wasabi. So by biting into a radish, you actually create that same sort of peppery compound. But it's not just in those spicy ingredients like mustard and horseradish, as I was mentioning. This compound, that final compound, the allyl isothiocyanate, that compound is actually found in various cruciferous vegetables at varying levels. So it can be in kale, it can be in broccoli, and it can be in Brussels sprouts. In fact, it's in all of those actual vegetables too, which is why they have a little bit of a peppery taste to them. Now you know why radishes are quote unquote spicy. They're not spicy in the conventional sense. They're not spicy like a chili pepper because they don't have that capsaicin that's not in there, but they're actually spicy for a completely different reason. There is one other factor that does add to the radish's spiciness: size. So if you have larger radishes, the bigger they get, the spicier they are. So that's another thing to keep in mind if you don't want to have a spicy radish. If you want to get around having spicy radishes, here's a little quick tip how to do that. You can peel them. Most of those compounds exist in the peel. That'll quickly remove that spiciness and make them a lot more palatable if you're, affected by spiciness. I love spicy, that's just me. If you like this video, hey, give me a thumbs up. If there's something that you want to know about, drop a comment below. And if you like to cook like I do, I release new videos every single week, so please subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.